Don Mazzella here again for Small Business Digest. We're always on the lookout for new and unusual ways people are doing things. Well, when I think about what I do with my jewelry, my old jewelry, I either bring it to a pawn shop or a jeweler. But someone has come up with a different approach, and we're going to talk about that today. Brandon Aversano is with us today, and he's going to talk about alloy, which I'm interested in. Brandon, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Don. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, Brandon, as we asked all our guests, first tell us a little bit about yourself personally, then basically what your company is about, and finally where people can learn more.
Yeah, absolutely. I live right outside of Philadelphia in Bucks County. I started my career in management consulting for Deloitte when I was living in Washington, D.C., working mostly with federal government clients. From there, I moved to New York City and had the pleasure of working for JetBlue Airways, where I worked with their CEO and Chief Strategy and Business Development Officer on all sorts of fun projects within and across the airline. And then from there, I moved back up north and was working at JP Morgan Chase out of Delaware, helping oversee one of their largest co-branded credit card portfolios. And that was all before I sort of got into the jewelry gold buying space. So that's just a little bit about me.
Hmm. So now, your company is Alloy. Tell
Yeah.
us about that.
Yeah, so the alloy market was never on my radar. My background is not in jewelry or precious metals. But when I was working for JP Morgan Chase about 3.5 years ago, I was actually diagnosed with testicular cancer quite suddenly. And when I was getting treatment at University of Pennsylvania Hospital, I actually sought to sell some of the gold jewelry that I had inherited from my grandmother, who had passed a couple of years prior. And the experience that I had trying to sell that gold jewelry in person was really bad. So I went into a couple of pawn shops, a couple of jewelry stores, and it was kind of that stereotypical experience where you bring in your items, they offer you 20 cents on the dollar, they try to bully you out of your items. And I thought to myself, this is a terrible experience. I'm going to go back to my apartment and sell this online because there's a digital way to do everything these days. And sadly, what I found, Don, is that there was no good online option to sell gold jewelry. The online options were these really kind of opaque domain names, very similar experiences to the brick and mortar pawn shops and jewelry stores, that I had just experienced in person. And so I sort of had this lightning bolt moment that if this is happening to me in sort of my most vulnerable moment, trying to sell jewelry to pay down medical debt, I imagine that this is happening to thousands of other people around the United States. And I very humbly, over the last 3 years, have sort of proven out that thesis and that hypothesis. So we launched the alloy market in 2023. Since then, we've paid out our clients over $10 million for all sorts of gold, silver, platinum, and palladium jewelry, and also gold bullion and silver bullion, which is just pure, gold bars and coins. And our goal was to provide folks an honest, transparent, easy digital experience. And so that's what the alloy market is all about. And that's how I got into it. Just sort of a real world experience that I had myself, wanting to solve the problem for myself and therefore solving it for a whole bunch of others.
Okay. And your website?
Yeah, so our website is thealloymarket.com. And we also have a mobile app in on both the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. But the vast majority of our clients come to us through our website, thealloymarket.com.
Okay, well let's stop here. I have some jewelry to sell. Okay. I go on your site. What do I do?
Yeah, so we've made it very easy. All you do is you click a button that says send me a free alloy kit. You fill out a little bit of information, your name, your home address. we send you free of charge a complimentary appraisal kit that includes instructions, a return 2-day FedEx mailer, and an item safety bag, uh, in which you would place your jewelry, gold, silver items, what you're hoping to sell. That FedEx 2-day return mailer is pre-labeled with your information back to our metals testing lab right outside of Philadelphia. They're automatically insured for up to $100,000. So as soon as you put your valuables in the mail, you're covered. So it's sort of a no risk situation for our clients. That your package will arrive at our facility within 2 business days. The day that we get your parcel back at our lab, we take your jewelry. It's all unboxed under video recording. We test it using industry best equipment. We test it for its purity, so 18 karat, 14 karat, 24 karat, what have you. And then based on the weight, the purity, and the price of gold or silver that day, we make you an industry leading cash offer via email. If you accept that offer, we actually issue your payment the very same day, so there's no waiting involved for the client. And depending on how you choose to be paid, it could be instantaneous through a payment like PayPal, or take up to a few days if you choose a payment method like ACH or direct deposit. So really end to end from the time you land on the alloymarket.com and request that complimentary no obligation appraisal kit to the time you actually see money in your bank account, it can be as quick as a week or less.
Well, let me go with the negative first. You offer me $1,000, and I think it's worth 5,000. So I say to you, I don't, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
What happens to the jewelry then?
Yeah, so we offer complimentary returns free of charge, fully insured. We're really proud that our offer acceptance rate is over 95%. So 95% of folks who send in their jewelry ultimately accept their offers from us. But if you are one of the 5% who prefer to, ask or request a return, we're happy to do so free of charge. So it's really a no risk, no obligation service that we provide.
Well, what do you do with? We'll jump again. What do you do with the jewelry? Do you melt it down?
That's a great question. So, depending on what you're selling to us, there's all sorts of things that happen to it. If it's intact and it's resellable sort of in its current condition, we may give that piece of jewelry a second life by reselling it back to the public. But quite often we work with industrial refiners who will actually take your precious metal, melt it down, and repurpose it for use in vital sectors like electronics, healthcare equipment like MRI machines, and electric vehicles. So a lot of the precious metal that we purchase does end up getting repurposed and reutilized, which is pretty cool. So it's kind of like a recycling operation.
Well, let's say I have a bracelet that is, let's say, worth $1,000. Well, what percentage do you offer of something?
Yeah, that's a great question. So pawn shops and jewelry stores, you typically would fetch around 20 to 40%. And depending on what you send us and the purity of it, your typical payout would be between 75 and 85%. So we're usually around 40 to 50% higher than our closest competitors.
But that only leaves you about 15% for your benefit.
Yep. The nice part about what we're doing is we're operating at scale and we have really good relationships with our refinery partners and buyers on the back end. So that allows us to pay out our clients a lot more than pawn shops or jewelry stores whose primary business is not buying gold and buying jewelry.
Okay, well, if I recall correctly, silver reached a high a couple of days ago. Mm,
It
So,
did. Yes.
are you seeing more silver than gold, or are you seeing what do you see as the trends?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So when we started the alloy market, gold was trading for about $1,700 an ounce, and right now it's trading for more than $4,000 per ounce. And silver was priced at about $15 per ounce. And to your point, it hit a record high this week, and it's trading above $60 an ounce. So we
Oh,
for sure are seeing a huge influx of silver in all different forms. We're seeing a lot of sterling silver jewelry, a lot of fine silver. So that comes in the form of like silver bars or silver coins. But we're also seeing a lot of silver flatware sets. So those sterling silver forks and knives and spoons that you inherited from your grandparents and then your parents, and then they pass down to you and they just kind of sit and collect dust. We're seeing a lot of that come in because those, if you send in, a service for 12, if you will, that can fetch like greater than $3,000 based on the price of silver right now. So it's worth a lot of money.
did you say 33,000?
Over 3,000.
Oh, over 3,000. Okay.
Yeah.
I might also point out that we're recording this before the new year, and this show will broadcast after the New Year, so we don't know what the silver will be worth then.
Yes, I think based on the trends, and I certainly don't have a crystal ball in front of me, but I think based on the trends, we're going to see the price of metal just kind of continue to rise for a while, which is really cool.
Do people send you in coins?
Yeah, so we do a very large coin business. Coins are interesting though because we don't buy coins for what's called their numismatic value. So what I mean by that is if you have a coin that was minted in 1883 and you're hoping to sell it as an antique and sort of fetch a premium because of the year that it was minted or the type of coin it was, we always recommend you try to sell that to a specialty coin dealer or peer to peer on a marketplace like eBay, because we buy coins based on their precious metal value, sort of regardless of the year they were minted or any kind of special features or attributes. So the same way that we buy a gold bracelet by its purity and weight and the price of gold, that's the same way that we buy coins.
Well,
Purity, weight, and price of gold.
do you offhand, do you know, for instance, I have about 30, my father left me about 30 quarters, which was still all silver.
Yep.
What is a quarter? Do you know what a quarter of the old silver coins are going for nowadays?
Yeah, so it's a great question, and it's also great that you mentioned that they are pure silver because I think after 1963 they
Oh,
stopped minting quarters
yes.
in pure silver. So uh, today's quarters are not made of silver, but the old quarters are. And I think today they're fetching around $25 or so. So each quarter's worth, a fair amount of a fair chunk of change, which is pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
have about 40 of them.
Well, we see a lot of that coming in right now that folks have just been sort of sitting on over the years and waiting until silver was worth more. And now that it's over $60 an ounce, a quarter can be worth a good deal of money.
Hmm. I'm gonna go dig them out and send them to you.
Yeah.
Uh, well, no. If I took that quarter to a coin dealer or a jeweler, what would he or she give me for that quarter?
Yeah, so they'll probably give you 20 to 40% of its value. So, if we were going to give you $20, you could probably expect to get around $5 to $8 from a pawn shop or a jewelry store. Most jewelry stores actually won't even purchase currency or silver quarters or anything like that because their primary business really is in jewelry. And so
Hmm.
that they're looking to purchase mostly jewelry because sometimes they can reuse it or they can resell it. Uh, so it's typically only precious metal buyers like the alloy market that will actually purchase those types of pieces.
Hmm. Your website again for people who want to learn more?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just thealloymarket.com. And if you just search alloy market, ALLOY market, you'll find us, we'll come up first on Google or ChatGPT or whatever interface you're using these days.
Okay. So you decided, you saw this opportunity. How did you go about creating the company, etc.?
Yeah, it's a great question. So early on, it was just a very small team of one, just myself for a while. I then partnered with a brilliant friend and marketer who has a lot of experience in digital marketing. And so slowly but surely, we worked on building up trust with clients and kind of expanding our reach and our audience. On my end of things, I worked really hard on building strong, real relationships with refineries in the Pennsylvania area. So, we're at the alloy market has a lot of good partners around here, in and around Philadelphia. But it took a really long time because we deal with a lot of folks' sensitive, high value assets. And so it took a while to kind of build up enough trust to get folks to be willing to send us in 3, 4, 5, $6,000 worth of their gold jewelry. And the way that we did that was just by providing honest, fair, and transparent services over the past 3 years. And so all of our reviews, if you were to go to trustpilot.com and read reviews on the alloy market, those are all real, genuine reviews from clients that we served. And we work really, really hard to make sure that every client just has an exceptional experience.
Well, your back office operation. How do you come up with the value? I send in the coin. Let's start the coin again. How do you come up with the value?
Yeah, it's a great question, and we'd love to be transparent about it. You can find information about that on our website under our FAQs, but it's a fairly simple formula. We just take the purity of the item. So if you send us a 14 karat bracelet, that means that that bracelet is 58.3% gold. That about half of that item is made of gold. And then we weigh it on a scale that's licensed by the state of Pennsylvania, Department of Weights and Measures. And then based on the price of gold, the actual weight of the item, and its purity, we just multiply all three numbers and make you an offer based on that. So it's a pretty straightforward calculation. We're not basing our offers on, brand value or any other kind of subjective aspect to the piece. It's really just weight times purity times the price of that precious metal.
So, but if a person sends you something, their grandmother's gold bracelet, in effect, they know it's going to be melted down. eh, Okay, but if you come across something that's um, of greater value because of its beauty, what do you do?
Yeah, it's a great question. So historically, we haven't really been in the resale game, if you will. We just started recently piloting programs where we're able to resell some of those pieces back to the public. And if we are able to successfully resell those items back to the public for more than we thought we were going to, we actually go back and give the original seller more of the deal, which is kind of cool. It's like I call it a surprise and delight moment. So if you part with your piece and then the alloy market ends up reselling it for more than we thought we were going to be able to, you might hear from us in a month or two, and we might call you and say, "Hey, we actually have another $50 headed your way because your piece was able to be resold."
Well, what's it? For instance, I have a bracelet for my mother that she bought in Italy, which is 18 carat, rather 14. What's the differences and how do you determine that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, uh, the carats it basically communicates or identifies the amount of gold that's in the piece. So, a 14 carat piece is around 58% gold. So, the rest of it is made of other metals. An 18 carat piece is 75% gold. So, it has a lot more gold in it than a 14 karat gold piece. And the way that we actually test for that is we use a machine called an X-ray fluorescence machine, and it's quite literally a small tabletop X-ray machine. We put your piece of jewelry, or your ring or whatever you send us inside the X-ray machine. It beams an X-ray into the item, and then it actually tells us what the chemical composition of that item is. So if we put your 18 karat gold bracelet into that machine, it'll tell us that 75% of that item is made of gold, which is pretty cool. And it'll tell us what the other metals that are included are also, like if they're silver or zinc or nickel or iron or anything else. It tells us what the full chemical composition is. So it's pretty advanced. It's cool.
How does one, I don't know what it is. Let's say I don't know. Um, was it, when does it come up to be a 24 karat gold? I know they used to talk about that in watches, but what is the difference?
Yeah, so 24 karat gold means it's pure gold, that it's not mixed with anything else. Typically, you don't find jewelry or even watches made of 24 karat gold because 24 karat gold is actually really soft. So if we get a piece of 24 karat gold in, you can literally bend it or even break it, which is it's really kind of fascinating. That's why you'll often see jewelry made out of 18 karat or 14 karat because it's strong enough to kind of withstand the daily use and wear. Whereas 24 karat really is quite soft, and so it's not really very good for use in jewelry making or watchmaking, because that kind of, rings get beat up. You hit them and you walk around with them every day, and so you need more of a stronger metal than that.
Huh.
But we do buy 24 karat gold items. They're just typically sort of that stereotypical solid gold bar that you think of when you think of a gold bar or a gold coin. Those are often 24 karat pure 100% pieces of gold.
It's fascinating. Um, but I guess your business operates on the idea that I have to trust you.
Yes.
Do I'm sorry, I've been a cynical newsman for many years. So, um, how do how do you demonstrate that you're honest? To me, the worst is you walk into a car dealership and the salesman said, "Trust me." That's when you want to get the lawyers.
Right. There you go. Well, that's really what the entire foundation of the alloy market was based on, building trust and transparency with our clients. And so everything is done under video recording. So if you like, we always make that available to our clients. So you can actually request from us the video recording of your appraisal and evaluation so you can see your items from the moment they arrive into our laboratory until the moment we make you an offer. That's all video recorded. When you receive your cash offer from us, everything is broken down by line item. So you don't get an email that says, if you send us 5 pieces of jewelry, you don't get an email that says, we'll give you $1,000 for what you sent in. Your email will say, we'll give you $250 for this ring and $350 for this ring and $275 for this ring, and this is why. Because this ring is 14 karat and it weighs 4 grams, and this ring is 18 karat and it weighs 2 grams. And so we arm the client with as much information as possible so they can make a good informed decision. The other thing that we're really proud of is that we don't engage in any kind of pressure tactics or bullying or intimidation. It is 100% up to the client whether or not they accept or reject their offer. If you, for any reason, at any time during the process, say, you know what, I prefer to have my items sent back to me, no questions asked. We are totally happy to package up those items safely and securely and return them fully insured, free of charge. So we really, try to go above and beyond to build that trust with our clients. And I'm happy to tell you that 25% of our clients are actually repeat clients. So they have such a good experience with us that they'll end up sending us another whole set of jewelry that they're looking to sell, or more gold or more silver over time. We have folks that have worked with us 4, 5, 6 times, which is really, I think, a testament to the trust that we build.
Well, let me ask you a question. Um, are there fences or fencing stolen material? How do you know that I own what I'm sending to you.
Yeah, so you have to attest to the fact that you are the sole and rightful owner of the items that you are selling. And then in Pennsylvania, we are very compliant with the Pennsylvania Code of Precious Metals, which we fall under. And so everything that we buy, we actually have to hold for a 5-day holding period. And that is to ensure that if there's any kind of theft that's reported to the police, the police can go around to the various precious metal buyers and they have full access to our inventory and records. So let's say, God forbid this were to ever happen, but let's say you have a 2 carat diamond ring stolen from you and you report that to the police. The police will actually contact all the pawn shops and jewelry stores and precious metal buyers in your area, and they'll say, did anybody buy a 2.5 carat diamond ring recently that, looks like this? And they'll describe it. And so we actually have to comply with that 5-day holding period in order to give enough time to pass to be able to ensure that that object was not stolen and it is true and rightfully the person who's selling it. So we're very adherent to that law, and we try to go above and beyond to make sure that we're never purchasing stolen jewelry. And in our history so far, I'm so proud to say that we have never run into the situation where we have accidentally purchased stolen jewelry.
And that's true, but if I send it in from California, I mean, if it's stolen in California and they're sending it to Philadelphia, I mean, to me, it's just an easy way to palm something that I've stolen. But I hear you. Unfortunately, we're come to the end of the time. Your website one more time.
It is www.thealloymarket.com.
Okay, you have 1 minute. What would you like to leave our audience with?
I would like to leave your audience with do your research before you go and sell your precious, high value, precious metal assets. I always encourage people to do as much research as possible on the companies that they're looking to sell to. Read the reviews, make sure they're accredited by the BBB, get several offers, and make sure you're doing what's right for you.
Well, on that note, we say thank you, Brendan, for a really great time together.